welcome back, me hearties. We are back! And that's what I said. I said we're back. Welcome back.
Did someone just say we're back?
We are back!
Yes, we are back. Perhaps not in the form we'd like to be, but we are making do. Tonight we are online again, and we're going to be beginning a new series on looking at who God is.
Yesterday, Ben and I played a game that the BBC call Innuendo Bingo, where participants take a mouthful of water and then a funny clip is played and the players try not to spit take all over the other person. Here's how it went.
Now we're going to play a little game called Seize from a Hat. Now what happens is, before every show, we ask our audience members to write down suggestions for different things. One of them is scenes they like to see pulled from this hat that make our performers do. We take the good ones. We don't take every single one of them. A lot of them stink. We take the good ones, and we put them in this hat, and we see how many they can act out. Starting with what Olympic medalists are really thinking while they're listening to the national anthem.
I would have gotten a gold if I just stretched a little more.
That's when eeny, meeny, miny, mo is not an appropriate selection method.
Miny Mo. Congratulations, Mr. Bush.
This about sums it up, doesn't it? What Alexander Graham Bell really said the first time he used the phone.
Was I?
We all seem to have this sense that there is someone out there or something more or someone who has created the world and put things together. You know, we look at the beautiful sunrises and sunsets, we look at the power in creation, the waves, we look at things like the way that we have been formed and made, or the way that the world is so perfectly positioned in line with the sun. Things that just don't seem to have come about by miraculous chance, but by some divine being who has planned and planned things out, planned things with purpose and with meaning. A lot of us might also have experienced supernatural things that give us a clue that there is in fact more than what we can see in the physical world. Many people attest to having near-death experiences, experiences where they see things and experience things after being pronounced dead. People also have experiences of seeing angels and demons. All these sorts of things give us hints and clues that there is more to this world than what meets the eye. These things give us a sense that there might be a God out there who has a plan and a purpose for our world, and a plan and a purpose for us. Over the next few weeks, we're going to be looking at the names of God and the attributes of God, and really asking that question, who is God? Can we know who he is? Can we explain who he is in terms and words that are easy to understand? I think yes. And when we know God, what we also do is we learn more about ourselves, because God has made us his image bearers, the ones who he would have to be like him in the world. So the more we learn about God and who He is, the more we will also learn about who we are and who God wants us to be as we live in a world that is often a really tough place to be. So the first question I want to answer is, does God have a name? Sounds like a kind of obvious answer. God is God. But no, the term God, or El, which is used in the Bible, actually refers to any of the gods that were referred to by other nations. So in the Old Testament, for instance, there were lots of different nations who all had their own kind of concepts of God and who God is, and they would make statues to represent those gods. Not that those gods actually existed, but their understanding of this higher being was kind of encapsulated in these idols or statues or whatever they were calling their God. So at the time, what we see the true God doing is giving himself a personal name and revealing himself according to that personal name. So what is it? Well, in Exodus, in the book of Exodus, we find out that God's personal name is either pronounced in English Yahweh or Jehovah. So this name, Jehovah or Yahweh, is mentioned over 6,800 times in the Bible, and it really encapsulates in its meaning the self-existence of God, meaning that God exists within himself. He doesn't need anything else. He doesn't need anyone. He is not part of anything else. He exists unto himself. It also gives us this sense of God having always existed and always existing into the future. It's something that's really, really difficult to get our head around. So when God first reveals this name, it's in a story that happens in the Old Testament. So Moses is out attending to his flocks, and he hears a voice calling to him. And when he approaches, what he sees is a bush that appears to be burning but is not actually burning. And from within the flames, he hears the call. That is, of course, God speaking to him. And during that conversation, God reveals his name. And as he does that, he uses the phrases, I am who I am. That term really saying that I am. You know, if you want to try and understand me, I am. That's that real asserting that he is self-sufficient and self-existing. Now, a really cool thing is that when we skip forward thousands of years and we meet the person of Jesus, we see this interaction that he has with some of the Pharisees. They were the people who were kind of trying to catch him out and trying to just work out who this guy was and who he was claiming to be. Now, Jesus makes this sort of unusual statement, which would sort of made them think that he, was alive when Abraham was alive. So Jesus was kind of implying, yes, I was alive when Abraham was alive. Now, of course, Abraham existed thousands of years before this conversation. So, of course, the Pharisees are like, what? You're only you're under 50 years old. How can you possibly have been alive or have spoken to Abraham? And then Jesus replies with this really incredible statement saying, before Abraham was, I am. Now that absolutely infuriated them because they understood the overtones of what he was saying. That within that statement there was this claim that he could be possibly referring to himself as being the Son of God, or referring him to himself in language that would sound as if he was implying that he was the great I am. They, of course, tried to pick up stones and stone him at that point. And they would eventually try and have him crucified for claiming this very fact, that he was in fact God. So as we look at Jesus over the next few weeks and also look at the names of God, it helps us to really assess both who Jesus was, but also to learn a bit more about God. So I hope that when you hear the name Jehovah, or the name Yahweh, or if you see in your Old Testament Lord written in capital letters. That's where it says in Hebrew Yahweh or Jehovah, capital letter Lord, that will remind you that God is self-existent. He is like none other. He's from the beginning and will be forever.
Is anyone else tired of going bananas, staying indoors, and staying 1.5 meters from everyone? 1.5, 1.5, 1.5! Then having to keep your social distance from them.
Can you pass yourself, please? You kidding me?
Have to hand sanitize everything. Well, let's switch things up for a bit. There are 5 boxes hidden around Blackheath and in Lithgow that you can find out in the real world that the leaders have hidden. Here are some clues to where they have been hidden. I just finished hiding the box, so I'm going to tell you a little story of clues to give you hints to where it's at. So here we go. So my first or second year, somewhere in between there, of playing soccer, I kind of got into a streak of scoring heaps of goals. But before I scored heaps of goals, I was kind of hidden in a reserve and never really let out of that. But eventually I found my position and was put on the west side of the pitch, and eventually I found my way to the top box, and that's where I scored all my goals. So I hope that gives you a hint to where the box is hidden. I might just do a quick turnaround so you know something what you're looking at, but this house is nearby, so the box is just right there. See ya. Oh yeah, folks, I'm back in my box. Apparently a few of you have struggled to find where my box is hidden, so I've come to give you guys a few hints to come figure it out. The biggest hint I can give you is that the soccer reference is a absolute just analogy, not actually where it's hidden. The second biggest hint I can give you is think of how you would say your street, not place. For example, say Wombat Street, you would call it Wombat Street. You wouldn't say it any other way. You wouldn't say Street Wombat. So think about that when you're watching the video. And the third hint is that there might be more than one street that you'd be looking for to find my box. Hopefully that will help to find this box, but good luck.
Hi, Alistair and I are here at Blackheath Duck Pond, and we've just fed the ducks, and now we're about to go hide our box. Here's the video. Okay, I have to wait for the child is gone. Alistair!
Everybody, so I'm out hiding my box today, and your first hint is that I'm in the outskirts of Lithgow, near a track called, or on a track called Ida Falls, and this is where you kind of would need to park if you came down here. So here we go, here is my car parked, and what we're going to do, come on girls, we're going to see if we can find a secret entrance. So down the track, and you've got to find a secret entrance, which is like through a tunnel. So, okay, then there's big holes in the ground, so just beware. Okay, so you know you're on the right track if you come to the entrance to the walk, and this is what you should see. So the first thing you have to do is go through the tunnel. Extra points too if you're willing to come through the tunnel and film yourself singing some opera. Are you ready, girls? Go! Next hint is you've got to do a creek crossing and find the burnt out car.
Slippery bit.
A slippery bit?
A slippery bit. Mummy, watch out, there's kangaroo boots.
That's alright. We won't step on it, will we? No, don't step on it. Everyone, hopefully you have walked all the way down the track, well, at least a bit of the way down the track, and you'd find these set of ruins. This is where my box is hidden. Somewhere in amongst these ruins. And if you're a bit confused, then I can just see in the distance, I can see the train line, and I can also almost see where we came through the tunnel. So all the best. Now, if you found the box, I totally recommend you keep walking down the trail because there's a really nice little waterfall, would make a great spot to maybe have some lunch or a picnic with your family down that way. So get out, enjoy the Ida Falls track.
Guys, I just hid my box. There it is there. To let you know where I am, I've got a rubbish tip on my left here, and then I've got a car park up here. I'm in Blackheath. Yeah. There you go. Good luck.
Well, tread carefully, keep your social distance from people, and find those boxes. Once you have found them, do what the instructions say and take a photo of you doing it, and then send it to us at lighthillyouth@gmail.com or send it to one of the youth leaders. What are you waiting for? Go find them right now. No, just kidding. Figure it out where they are now, then go on a good day to go find them, because you have the whole school holidays to go find them before we go pick them up. Aren't you glad that I'd stopped doing all these puns and milked it for all they have? Okay, see ya.
Hi. So today I'm going to be answering the question, why am I a Christian? And to answer this, I'm first going to answer what I think it looks like to be a Christian. Now, this is my opinion. I'm not trying to force my opinion on anyone. This is just how I view Christianity. So please don't take this as an attack if you think differently. So I grew up in a family where we had lots of different values of Christianity. My grandparents and my mum's side of the family are all Seventh-day Adventist, which means that most of what they believe comes from the Old Covenant. they follow the laws that are put in place in the Old Covenant. They're vegetarians, or like they don't eat most meats. And yeah, they follow a lot of those old laws. I went to a school where a lot of what was taught was the testimonies of Jesus. So yeah, we learned about what Jesus did and why he did it and the values that he taught. And a lot of what my church talked about, or like once I started really paying attention in church, was Paul's letters to the churches. So I kind of grew up with three varying, kind of conflicting views of Christianity. And so when I kind of really started thinking about it, I had to keep asking myself, what is it to be a Christian? And I recommend that everyone does this, because there are so many different ideas of what being a Christian is and what it looks like. And so yeah, I recommend to everyone to just kind of look into it and explore. But for me, what I found was that I wanted to follow what Jesus said and what Jesus taught. And I think that this is important because what he taught was to love everyone. In the Old Testament, the laws, it says that the liars and the homosexuals are going to go to hell. And while that may or may not be true, it's not up to us to decide, and it's not up to us to judge. And so I think that that's something really important for me. And these are the values that I want to have in life. And so that's why I'm a Christian, because Jesus taught us to love everyone and to not judge everyone. And I think that's something that's really important for me as a Christian.
I may not look anything like news reporter Pete, but you're going to have to work with me here. On the forecast for next week, we have Aiden and Ben talking about their time down the south coast when they helped Samaritan's Purse with the fire relief. We're also going to be looking at another attribute of God and finding out where and what was inside those boxes. So make sure you find the boxes, and also make sure you tune in next week. Have a great week. Oh, actually, and before we go, we really want to see you either tonight on Zoom or Discord. So follow some of the links depending on what you would like to do. Okay, we will see you there.